Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, this is just a little quickie episode because this is on my mind in terms of body and manifesting body. And something that I'm doing, if you read my latest Substack article, is I'm really trying to put content out there the moment I'm like inspired and activated and it's on my mind, and that you guys can feel the energy from me, and really trying to flow more with my intuition and just notice, the channeling and the downloads that are coming through. So this actually came through last night and I was like, okay, I need to do a Substack article or a podcast on this. And what it is stop letting fluctuations fuck you up, basically. And the reason why I say this is because in the last 30 days, 30 days ago, I did the I Lose Weight Easily and Naturally RECODE inside Hot, Happy, Healed. And I really set an intention, like I am setting a new standard for my body, my energy, my health, my strength. And I want to show what the RECODEs and what Hot, Happy, Healed can do. So I'm committed to doing these RECODEs and showing the body transformation that I'm experiencing. And over the last month, I have seen a significant change in my body. But this is what I want to say. Okay. And I did weigh myself for the sake of this experiment, which I'm like, I don't want anyone else to weigh themselves, is because I have a very neutral relationship with the scale, but I want to be able to explain this in a way. So, I did weigh myself and I have lost around 10 pounds, which is probably a lot of just water weight, inflammation, whatever. It's kind of irrelevant to the story, as you will hear. So what I want to say about this is that I did the I Lose Weight Easily and Naturally RECODE, right? 30-ish days ago. And I really committed to the new story of my body's changing now. Things are happening. This is we are really getting into a new level in terms of how I want to feel and look. And it took 3 weeks of being extremely consistent in my thoughts. And the reason why I want to say this is because for 3 weeks, it seemed like absolutely nothing was changing. And I obviously wasn't weighing myself in between or anything. I didn't even have a scale. I just used my mom's at her house. And it seemed like nothing was happening. And if I was just, basing it off of the ups and downs of my body in terms of just being a woman, where your body can fluctuate a lot, I would not have allowed any progress to happen or momentum to gain, right? But because I've done this before and I know what I'm doing, I was so firm on the story, despite probably a weekend being have I gained 10 pounds? What's going on here? My body was feeling really just bloated, whatever. And then it's just so important to recognize our bodies can change so much from day to day. And when you let the fluctuations mean something, that is what probably throws off 90% of my Dream Body clients. Because if I hadn't been so firm on where I was going, very firm, very strict, I did not let my mind deviate from the fact that my body is transforming. I want to feel incredible. This is happening. I did not let anything mess with that energy, but that's not normal, right? That's something I've cultivated over years of doing this work because I know it works. So I don't have any doubts or resistance in that area. My only job is stick to the story, right? Don't let whatever's going on out there. And I know manifestation, myself included, talk about this all the time. Stop looking at the 3D, stop looking at reality and letting it mean something about where you're going. It is so important. I've talked about this many times, in terms of the road trip analogy, right? It's if you're on a road trip and you're passing through this town that you don't like, you're not going to stop and get out and be oh my God, why am I here? What is going on? It's it's on the way. It's on the way. Even though it doesn't look like anywhere where you're going, even though it might not be where you want to be, even though you might hate that location, it's on the way. And it's the same thing with fluctuations in your body, especially as a woman. fluctuations are going to happen. You are going to look drastically different from week to week. It might seem like you've gained weight. It might look like nothing is happening at all. And that is where you have to be so firm on your mindset, okay? This is where the Hot, Happy, Healed work comes in. And this is why I do so many recodes on like, it's working now and it's safe to trust, and like all around, like results are happening underneath the surface, even when you can't see it. And I wanted to share this because obviously, like, I've seen incredible results, but for the first 3 weeks, nothing happened, right? Nothing seemed to be happening. And then all of a sudden it felt like whoosh, like it's almost like things are happening and building underneath the scenes, and then it all overspills into reality. But even once it seemed like things were happening, it's still, then my period comes along. Then I'm, holding on to water. Then it looks like literally nothing's happening and I don't look any different than I did a month ago. So it's like, but the only reason that I'm sharing this is because I can see now that I use the scale to be like, okay, there is a significant difference in my weight. And it just made me see how much reality can mess with you if you're not super firm on your mind and the story you're telling and where you're going. It is the most crucial aspect, I believe, to the Hot, Happy, Healed journey, is being able to firmly commit to the story. And I don't know, I know I've said this 100,000 times, but this month it just became so much more obvious and clear to me because it really didn't look like anything was happening. But I just continued to tell the story. I continued to do my recode. I listened to my Rise and Rest every single day. I was just like, no, this is happening. Like, this is what's happening now. I made the decision and I did not deviate from that decision, no matter what was going on. But here's what happens. And this is why it takes perhaps other people a lot longer to see a change, is because they never let the momentum build. They never get past that hump. They could be doing this for years and they still haven't gotten past that hump. So even though it feels like you've been doing it for years, you've never allowed it to pick up speed enough to see results, right? Because you could stick to the story for maybe a day or two, or maybe a week or two, or maybe you almost get there and then it's like, this isn't working, right? And you start letting whatever's going on out there mean something about where you're going. And that has just become so clear to me in this last month, where I was so committed to where I'm going, and also just being hyper aware as a woman in terms of how much body fluctuations are happening, because I used progress pictures to kind of like track, and it's like, it didn't look like anything was changing at all. And so it's just important to give yourself time, essentially, is what this comes down to. You need to give yourself time and allow the momentum to build, and you need to stay so firm to the story that you're telling, no matter what. Like, I don't care if it looks like you are going completely backwards. Like, you need to hold the vision. It is like, how strongly can you hold the vision? Because reality is organizing around you. And remember, you have been telling the old story that it's hard to lose weight, and this is who I am, and this is what I look like, and nothing ever changes for me, and this doesn't work, for a very long time, right? So it's going to take a bit of time. It takes as long as it takes to get that new belief locked in to your body, okay? So I wanted to share that because I think people, and I just really noticed this in myself, like, I was like, if I wasn't so firm on this, and if I didn't know so deeply that this works because I've experienced it so many times, then I would totally have been like, oh my God, this isn't working. I would never have been able to hold the vision as strongly as I did. So I share that because I want to just hammer home to you that I totally understand that it can really feel like nothing's working. And if you let that seed grow in your brain, that is why it's taking so long. Like, fast results are very much available to you. But it's like the speed at which things will change is the conviction in which you stick to the story, you stick to the destination around where you're going, like so stubbornly. So basically, I just really made that decision, and I made it multiple times a day. And I also, like, what's really key here is, like, don't body check. Like, I only took progress pictures once in a while. Like, don't obsess. Don't constantly look at it. Don't be like, is it working? Is it working? Is it working? Like, don't step on the scale. And just don't do anything that's going to make you question yourself, essentially, because it's like you have to be able to almost delusionally hold firm to what it is that you want, and then everything will match up. But it might not look linear. It might really feel like nothing's happening, or it's going the opposite way, or everything's falling apart, or whatever. And then all of a sudden, if you can continue to hold it firmly and strongly with conviction, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, wow, I woke up and I feel drastically different. And then the next day you might be like, was I imagining that? Like, it could look like a roller coaster is what I'm trying to say. There could be a lot of fluctuations in your body. And the key here is you can't let the fluctuations fuck with you. And that comes down to everything that you're manifesting, whether it's money, whether it's your business, whether it's love, whether it's a good date or a bad date or anything else. It's like the degree of conviction you can hold around this is where I'm going. And I wouldn't say that you need to believe in it 1,000%. Like, that's what the recodes are for. Like, we're recoding your brain inside Hot, Happy, Healed every single week. It's more so the conviction around this is where I'm going, period. Don't let your brain argue with you. Don't give it any attention to the arguments around why it could not be working. Like, you have to say to yourself, like 100 times a day, this is where I'm going. This is what's happening now. This is where I'm going. This is what's happening now. Oh, I look like I gained weight. Doesn't matter. This is where I'm going. This is what's happening now. You need to direct your attention constantly to where you're going until that neural pathway gets embedded. And I feel like that's when the results whoosh. And then all of a sudden it's like momentum has started. And then it's like so much fun because it's like, oh my God, this is where I'm going. And this is so exciting. And I can already see the shift or whatever. But just know, and here's the other thing that I want to talk about, because the only reason, okay, if I didn't know for a fact, because I have like my workout calendar that I've been using, if I didn't know for a fact that it was, 30 days ago that I made the decision, I would have told you it was at least 2 months ago. Our brain thinks we've been doing things for so much longer than we've actually been doing things. Like, 1 week in, I was like, I cannot believe it's only been a week. I feel like I've been thinking this forever, right? And nothing's changing. And I notice this a lot with my clients because they will exaggerate the time in which they've been committed to something. I'm like, it's been 2 days. Like, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I'm like, it's literally been a week. Like, you've got to give the universe time to rearrange and catch up to the story you're telling, because and oftentimes, like, you'll be like, okay, this is where I'm going. And then the next day you'll be like, but it's not working. And it's like, just think of the universe as always like, yes, 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 yes. So if you are constantly flip-flopping back and forth, that is why nothing changes. That is why it feels like you've been trying forever, but nothing's happening. It's because you have not been firmly convicted in one direction. You've been taking 1 step forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And it's like, what the fuck? Nothing's ever changing. I've been at this for so long, but it's like, no, yes, you may have been at it for so long, but you have not been firmly held to the story that you're telling for so long, right? So actually mark it on a calendar. When you make a decision, I want you to be like, I made the decision around, this is the X amount of money I'm going to make in my business, or this is, I'm meeting my soulmate, or I'm losing X amount of weight. Mark it on your calendar when you made that decision, and every single day check, like, was I firmly committed to the story? And know that you need to like maintain that momentum. Like, it's okay to like have off days or whatever, but like, I will say at the beginning, it's really important to like be stubborn, be convicted. So that is what I wanted to say. Let me know if you guys like this episode, and I love you guys so much. And I have a effortless weight loss RECODE bundle that I created. It is $33. You get the Beliefs and Your Body Masterclass. You get the you get a RECODE around effortless weight loss and trusting your body, and you get a rise and you get a rest, and you get a Beat the Binge emergency audio, which I'm so excited about, which you can press play on when you're in the kitchen feeling like you're about to binge eat, or in the car driving to the store, and it'll help you stop and process and move through what's coming up in a way that, like, oh my God, I wish I had that back in the day. Like, it's truly going to change lives. And you also get a I Lose Weight Easily and Naturally affirmations track that you can use to really be asking your subconscious the correct questions and getting you in the energy of, like, of course this is working. Of course this is happening. But that is what I wanted to say. And I think at the beginning, when you set an intention, when you make a decision, it's actually like, don't even worry about looking for evidence that it's working. Like, this is something I obviously get people to do inside Hot Happy Healed once we've been at it for a few weeks. But if I was looking for evidence in the first 3 weeks, I probably would have been discouraged. I probably would have been like, nothing is fucking changing. But because I just knew, because I made that decision, because I was like, no, this is what's happening, I just continued to trust that it would build up, and then all of a sudden I would see a shift. And that's exactly what happened. So I wanted to share that with you. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the DMs on Instagram, and I hope to see you inside the Effortless Weight Loss RECODE. It is such an incredible product for $33, and inside there you get a $222 off on Hot Happy Healed. So that is a massive deal. And I hope to see you inside Hot Happy Healed. Love you guys. Bye.